Is this your year?
You guys can point the finger at him.
Is this your year?
You can talk about the
Is it fair?
vacation, and if you do that, it's really unfair.
Do what you always do.
It's really unfair.
What about Dak?
It's my quarterback.
What about Dak?
It's my team.
How about?
And if you guys do that, man, it's unfair.
Another year. Same results.
Lost as a team. We lost as a team, man.
DC failed. For L. Fail.
How about them? Welcome everybody to another episode of In the Head Sports. I'm your host, Brian Parker, along with my co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir? Can you hear me?
What was that? Hello?
How's it going, sir? Can you hear me?
Got you. Yeah, is what it is, brother. We persevere, we press on, man. So.
Yes, sir. What's up, Mr. Robbie Jenkins? How you doing, sir? What's going on, Robbie? What's going on, Brad? Brad is wanting to join for a second on the show, I guess. So Brad might pop on in just a second. But anywho's, yeah. So I don't know how much longer I can do the Dallas Cowboy clips because basically their season is done. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. But thanks everybody for tuning in for another week of Head to Head Sports. We come in live and direct 7 p.m. Wednesdays all the way through the entire NFL season, up to and including the Super Bowl. We are streaming live and direct on Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, LinkedIn, Facebook Live, X, Instagram, and YouTube. We are on our drive for 10,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, please help us out and go to our YouTube under Empower TV. Like, share, but most importantly, please do subscribe. If you're watching us on any other platform right now, which I see a lot of you are, please just make sure that you share the link so everybody else on your platforms will know what it is that you are currently watching. And always remember, too, that we do this show with you. So any comments that you have, please put them in the chat, and we will get to them as fast as we possibly can. Robbie says, I'm doing okay. Glad you guys are. And how about the cow bitches? Absolutely.
What's up, Robbie? Yeah, Christmas came early this year, man. You know, not expecting Dallas to be out of it so soon.
Too early.
Yeah.
Christmas came too early. Lord have mercy. Let me bring this man in. Let me see what Brad has obviously got something on his mind. So, Brad, I'm gonna bring you in so you can join the show.
Can you hear me, baby?
What the hell?
Can you hear me, baby? Can you hear me?
I thought it was gonna be Brad, but it looked like his grandmama joined us. Hey, grandmama.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. We can hear you, grandma.
Okay, I want to talk. I want to talk to Brian. I need Brian. Somebody, is there a young man named Brian?
He's here, grandma. I know them glasses ain't really working too good for you.
Now, somebody been talking about my grandbaby really bad. And I need somebody said it's Brian been talking about my grandbaby. You don't be talking about my grandbaby like you been talking about her. He done throw the ball good 2 weeks in a row now. I need you to apologize to my grandbaby. You need to apologize to my Brycey. Brycey been playing good.
Brycey?
Brycey been playing good.
Yeah, Brycey has been playing a little bit better. Good is too hard of a word for me to say right now, Grandma.
Well, now you got you a win last week. He gonna get you another win this week when they play over in Cleveland or wherever they playing. They playing them other boys. He gonna play good again.
Well,
He gonna make you eat your damn words, Brian.
he might make me eat my words. He is still a bust, but he may make me eat some of my words. That is
Just okay. Just apologize. Who's that other young fella? Hey,
How you
hello
doing,
there, young
Grandma?
fella. All right,
I
Grandmama
don't know
gotta
if you
go.
wanna. I don't know how long you want to talk to me, Grandma, because I'm a Bryce hater too. I've
You,
kind of
you
talked about your boy and called him a bust.
you
So
don't like my grandbaby?
he's got a lot to prove to me. He's got a lot to prove to me.
yeah.
Well,
Grandma, it's not that we don't like him. We just don't want him to be our quarterback. How about that? We
well,
think he's a nice kid, and we think he'll do very well at the next
I
Chick-fil-A.
I
Work.
think he got thrown into the fire a little too fast. He didn't have time to mature. Now that boy in Green Bay, he had 2 years to sit and watch everything, and you see him come in playing well. Y'all just throwed Bryson right into the fire,
Well, I
and you
think
expect him to be good.
no, we didn't expect him to be good. I just expected him to be taller.
Well, now look at the boy in Arizona out there playing out west. He's short. He ain't but too tall, and he's playing well.
He also ain't afraid to run when he has nobody downfield to throw the ball to.
Okay, well
He personally
it takes time.
pocket. Yeah, you gotta learn that. But when you telling me coming out of college that between his neck and his shoulders above his head, he can process information and be able to make all these things, and you tell me that with the number one pick, everybody else below him would not have force multiplied your team, then that
Hmm.
creates a lot of expectations.
Well,
Too quickly? Absolutely. But you know who said during training camp and preseason and OTAs that when they looked at him in practice and they looked at Andy Dalton in practice, they made it clear that Bryce Young was the clear choice to start on day one.
mm,
So, yes, did he get caught up in that delusional bullcrap? He absolutely did. But then once he did that, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
I
All
tell you what, if you can't protect the boy, this is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get bad decisions if you got 300-pound men's running all up in your face.
all them,
You can't.
all them greasy, oily men's at that.
That's
And
right. That's right.
I
Now,
remember Cam Newton not being able to get some protection, but Cam could give it as good as he could take it too.
Your grandmama can give it as good as she can take it too.
Yeah, Grandma,
So, so
that's actually for head to head after hours. We may talk about that on our head to head only fans page because
well,
you got
well,
to go somewhere that's gonna get me kicked off from the FCC.
while I got you, I do like Bryce because he's my grandbaby, but I'm a real fan of them Los Angeles Rams. Oh Lord,
Yes, you are,
oh
Grandma.
my God.
I've heard that a
They,
time or two.
I just love the way they play. I love the colors on their uniforms and the
Mhm.
way they've been playing lately. I don't think any team in the league wants to play them right now because they kicking ass.
Well, they have been a little up and down all year, and some of that is due to injury. And hopefully now
Hmm.
Kua and
Hmm.
stuff coming back in the lineup. Kyron
Hmm.
Williams didn't have as good of a game this past game, but they still find ways to win, even when the production at running back isn't always where they want it to be. So that's
Hmm. Hmm.
absolutely.
Okay. Well, I didn't mean to interrupt your show. I didn't mean to interrupt your Black Panther party. I
Yeah.
just came in to talk about my grandbaby.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm glad he has an advocate out there.
Hmm.
And hopefully you can help him get you some good 10% off senior deals at the Chick-fil-A that he's going to be working at next.
Yeah, no, well, he's gonna be your quarterback for the next 4 or 5 years, baby.
Well, there's
Get
probably
used to
37
that.
million reasons why that's probably true.
Get used to it. He's gonna be your quarterback.
We're going to have to
You okay? I'll accept your apology.
Oh, okay. If that's what that was, okay.
That's what that. Yeah, yeah. Y'all apologize. Y'all apologize. Y'all young men take care,
All right, Grandma. We'll see
and
you
All
we'll
right,
later.
see you next
Grandma.
time.
All right. Grandma wanted to come in. Grandma had actually sent me a message on Sunday and then told me the same thing. Said, "Y'all, you need to apologize." I'm not apologizing for nothing. Listen,
Ain't
only,
nothing to apologize for.
the only person need to be apologized to is Dennis Allen because Bryce Young got his ass fired in New Orleans. Oh my gosh. Well, since Grandma opened up the can of worms, Rand, I'll spend literally 10 seconds talking about the Carolina Panthers' past game against the New Orleans Saints. It wasn't a very overwhelming game. Yes, the Panthers did win 23-22. Did we see that coming? Probably not. Did I see Bryce Young being somewhat efficient, throwing the ball? Had some really nice passes down the field. Jatavian Sanders definitely benefited from Bryce doing that. But you know what, Rand? To me, there's a certain looseness that players have when they have nothing to lose.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a Saints team anyway that's lost what 5, 6 games straight.
It was
Um,
6, yeah.
yeah, so good game by Bryce. But the game prior to that, I mean, was not that good. He had a very good opening drive last week, and I'm talking about the Denver game.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then there was a bunch of garbage in between that and his final drive in the fourth quarter in which he put up points. Um, I was pleased by what he put together for this last game. But again, it's the New Orleans Saints, who the firing of their head coach comes way overdue, who don't have a defense at all, um, who's just traded their cornerback, Marshawn Lattimore.
yeah.
And the Saints are in just as bad of a predicament as the Panthers are. So in this league, it's all about consistency, man. You're right. So it's going to take more than one average game from Bryce at this point. I need to see about 5 straight good games
Right.
before I feel good about where we are at the quarterback position heading into next season.
Absolutely. 100% on all of that. And look, nobody's going to sit there and fawn over the fact that the number one overall pick in last year's draft went 16 of 26 for 171 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Those are not overwhelming numbers when you see what Jaden Daniels is doing, when you see what CJ Stroud is doing, when you see what some of these other guys are doing. And, I'm not going to sit there and apologize to Bryce Young because he finally did what he was paid to do, and he still didn't even do all of that. It's just that the defense held up enough. The Saints were driving and they just messed it up. They were on the way to score to win the game, and they just messed it up. So yeah, like you said, they've got some issues too, and they've obviously by getting rid of Lattimore have conceded the fact that the season is gone. So now it's time to trade away some of your best assets that you have, as a lot of teams or a handful of teams decided to do, because at this point it's fire sale time, or at least it was up until this past Tuesday. So good for a win. Hopefully that helps the young man's confidence. He's going to get the start this coming week when they play the New York Football Giants overseas.
Yeah.
Um, they do have a chance to win that game as long as Bryce protects the ball. They stop going back and forth between Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders, and let Chuba be the primary back. Let Miles sit there and basically spell him, but stop switching in between the two. I don't know if they did that because they were trying to show teams that Miles Sanders could be a good enough back and use him as bait for the trade deadline, because they're also going to activate Jonathan. Is it Brooks?
Brooks.
The rookie,
Yeah.
as well. So we may even see him get a little bit of action. If Jonathan Brooks comes in and is even somewhat serviceable behind Chuba, that's going to make Miles Sanders even more expendable. But what they may even try to do is get Miles a few more touches and things like that so there'll at least be some good tape out there. So they'll have a little bit of leverage when trying to trade him away in the offseason.
They could get rid of him just flat out. I mean, they could cut him tomorrow and just cut their losses.
That's true.
He has a contract that's going to expire at the end of this football season. I think. I don't think he has another year left on. I would hope not. Anyway, as bad as he's played. But yeah, they were trying to
$5 million deal, but it was only 3 years, right?
I think so.
Okay.
They were trying to get him showcased before the trade deadline. But the thing is, he had no good tape out there to show anybody. They were not able to move him, not able to trade him. So, now he sits. But good thing they do have Jonathan Brooks. His knee is healed. He's been activated in that 21-day window. So we should see him, if not this Giants game, then the game after, or the game after the bye, especially. But ain't it weird though how these preseason notions are like kind of formulated in week one, right? Like the very first game of the season, we look at the Dallas Cowboys and they come out and they destroy Cleveland, and people's like, "Oh man, watch out for Dallas!" Right? And even in week one, when the Carolina Panthers get destroyed by the Saints, and the Saints put up like 47 points. You better watch out for New Orleans, man. Woo!
Or after what New Orleans did to Dallas.
Yes. So you just got to let things play out sometimes.
You really do. And that's why a lot of times the first week or two into the season, people always talk about, overreactions and things like that, because you're absolutely right. Anthony had said to Grandma, "Hey, Grandma, are you and Bryce the same height?" Robbie says 2 wins by the Panthers have caused 2 coaches to be fired. Who was the other coach that got fired? He said, "Wouldn't it be funny if the Panthers beat the Cowboys if Jerry Jones says that they fired their coach?" Well, Mike McCarthy, Robbie, is a dead man walking anyway. So whether the Panthers get him officially fired in the season of Vegas, Antonio Pierce is still coaching.
Yeah, that coach never got fired.
Yeah, he didn't get fired.
Uh-uh.
Now I don't know if the now they switched quarterbacks after that. I believe they went from Gardner Minshew to Aiden O'Connell, and then Aiden O'Connell got hurt, so Gardner Minshew is back in the starting lineup, or at least he has been. I don't know if they fired some coordinators. Oh, it's all right. But yeah, so yeah, it's kind of funny. I thought you're right. I think they can just release Miles Sanders, but I thought maybe they might want to try to trade him for some kind of draft capital.
We passed the trade deadline now. They did try that, but unfortunately there was just no takers.
Yeah.
So now they're at the point of I don't see anybody's going to trade for this dude. They might as well just they could cut him tomorrow.
Let's see Sanders that they could move Jonathan Mingo, but they couldn't move him.
Man, let's talk about that one for a minute. What the hell was Jerry Jones thinking, man?
Man, listen.
He gave up a 4th round draft pick to a guy that's caught 1 pass within the last month.
I'm gonna give the Panthers a hat on this one. Because they totally pimped Jerry Jones.
They did.
They said, "Come here, Jerry. Let me tell you something, baby." And they fleeced his ass. Look,
talk about selling sand to somebody living at the beach, man. Good God.
Rand, I broke this down last week, but it bears repeating. The Cowboys have no chance of going to the playoffs. The only way they could go to the playoffs is they would have to win their division. When you have the 7-2 Commanders and the 6-2 Eagles, and you are now 3-5, there is no way in the living hell that you can win your division. You would have to win out. You would have to damn near win every game and hope that the other two find a way to stumble. There is no way in the world. And you can't even sit there and say, well, we can back ourselves in via wild card, because the Eagles and the Commanders are playing so well, they very well could take one of the wild card spots. But then, oh, by the way, you've got three, well, probably now more so. Yeah. No, probably more so two teams. Or no, I'm sorry, wait a minute. Green Bay, Detroit, and Minnesota still vying for top three spots in the NFC North. Only
Yeah.
one of them can win the division. The other two are going to be fighting for a wild card spot too. There are only there are only three wild card spots.
Yes, and it's not happening. It's not
So
happening.
if the North takes two and the East takes one, then Dallas, you are done. Just
You are
because you
done.
haven't been mathematically eliminated, we all can add and figure out that you ain't going nowhere.
Even
Anthony
look
says,
at what's happening in the NFC West right now with the Cardinals sitting at top of the division and the 49ers trying to get into the playoff hunt.
exactly,
That's two teams right there that are better than Dallas. And the
exactly,
Rams. Don't forget about the Rams.
exactly. So there is no way. You have no shot. Like I said, just because you haven't been mathematically eliminated, you can go ahead and with confidence make plans to Cabo, Turks and Caicos, and everything you want to do first week of February. Or, as Robbie mentioned, Cowboys can buy tickets to the Super Bowl sitting in the stands.
They might as well.
Because that's as close as you're going to get to the Super Bowl is either watch it on TV or be there in person. That's
That
it.
is the only way that you're
You ain't
getting
gonna be
to
on
the
the
Super
field.
Bowl.
You ain't going to be on the field unless you got some field passes. But you ain't going to be on the field playing.
You will not be on nobody's field, man.
No, sir. No, sir. So, but Jerry is being very delusional. Now, there's been arguments all week ran on a lot of the talk shows, NFL Live, First Take, all the ones, Speak, all of those where they're talking about, hey, should the Cowboys be in a buyer or seller market? And, I heard Michael Irvin say, just some franchises will never be in a seller's market because they're historic franchises. He brought up the Lakers, he brought up the Cowboys, he brought up the Yankees, where they don't really sell, like they just get rid of a bunch of assets. They more or less reload. I can agree with that to a point. But you can also be a third option, which is called neutral. And it's not as if Jerry doesn't know what neutral is because he was in that holding pattern all off season. He ain't do a damn thing, which is why he's in the situation he's in now. So Jerry knows how to be neutral. So trying to go after Jonathan Mingo, and people were like, well, he's obviously looking past this season. Okay, well, past this season, you don't even know who your head coach is going to be. You don't know who your coordinators are going to be. You don't know if the new regime is going to be able to use Jonathan Mingo in their scheme. You may have graded him good when he came out of the draft and it was a guy that you had your eye on, but you don't know if your new coaching staff is even going to be able to utilize him in their scheme properly. So you're giving away a precious draft pick that you could have even bundled up to help you move up even higher into the draft.
Just good luck with that Mingo. Mingo has shown absolutely nothing for the Carolina Panthers. And for somebody that wants to give up a precious fourth round draft pick, because anything 4 and up is considered precious in this league.
Mhm.
For somebody to want to give up a fourth round draft pick for this dude is mind blowing to me. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
And
I don't
what
understand the
was
rationale.
the rush? What was the market for Jonathan Mingo before the trade deadline?
Absolutely nothing.
You couldn't have gotten probably the same thing without giving such a high draft pick away at the end of the season. You had to do it now. Most teams, when they make a trade before the draft deadline, it's supposedly to give you that extra piece or two to help push you further into the playoffs.
Right. Which is so puzzling because Mingo doesn't fit that at all. He doesn't help anybody. He's barely a number 3 wide receiver. He was a 4 in Carolina. So now you're asking a 4 at a bad team to be a number 2 for another bad team.
Because you want somebody with a big body that doesn't really have any separation, but that's a big body that can catch passes across the middle. You have that. He's called Ferguson. He's your tight end, and that's what you've been using him for. That's it. You can't make those kind of changes during the season. That's why you had a whole damn offseason to address your running back situation. You had a whole offseason to address having a second receiver because as much as people like Brandon Cooks for fantasy, he can never stay healthy. And you knew that if you didn't have a viable number two, Dak was going to get caught trying to force feed CeeDee Lamb the ball, and sometimes to his own detriment.
Yeah. So now we got Dak out for several weeks. We have who is it? Danucci at the backup quarterback. I don't know who the backup is.
Yeah, no, it's Trey Lance, isn't it?
I don't think they're going to start Trey Lance though. They're starting somebody else.
No, they're starting Cooper Rush.
Right.
Then isn't Trey Lance now going to be the number two? Because I think Ben DiNucci is gone.
Yeah, I was kidding about the Ben DiNucci.
Yeah. So I believe Trey is actually going to be his backup. Robbie says Cooper Rush. Anthony had a question. You want a coach that's been with the team for years and been to the playoffs and been to the Super Bowl but lost, or a coach been with the team over 10 years, been to the playoffs and won one Super Bowl?
I don't understand that question. Maybe give me some clarification.
Let me know who you're referring to, Anthony. Anthony also said the DAC cap hit next year will hurt them. Oh, yeah.
$90
million?
Yeah. That money's going to start catching up with them big time, man.
Which is why people think that, okay, they're starting to try to piece together things around them on the cheap like a Jonathan Mingo. But again, I will say you could have found a Jonathan Mingo on a rookie deal at the end of this season as well, because he can't help you for this season. Anthony also said Cowboys gave up a lot for Mingo, but Chiefs gave up little for Hopkins. How does that make sense? Organization. And I think the Chiefs have a better chance of going to the playoffs. I'm just saying. And Brad says, don't be surprised if he performs well in his new home. I'm not going to be surprised if he performs well, Brad, because you're comparing it to what? He struggled to get on the field with the Panthers, and that's saying a lot because you had a 37-year-old Adam Thielen, you had Leggett, and you had who's the other receiver that they had?
They have Moore.
Moore.
David Tompkins.
So for him to struggle getting on the field with those guys out there, that says a lot. But you're right, Brad. Sometimes when guys go to a different system in a different place, they do perform better. And a lot of times when guys leave the Carolina Panthers, sometimes they perform better. I know DJ Moore is probably happy to be a Chicago Bear. Things like that happen. So I'm not saying that the kid doesn't have any chance. He's young, and maybe there's a scheme that they can use him for that will play more to his talent.
Brad, I'm going to go ahead and go on record and say I would be very surprised if Mingo succeeds with the Cowboys. I just don't see it. And it has nothing to do with the play of Bryce. I've seen passes delivered to Mingo that have been fumbled, boggled out of bounds. I've seen this dude literally run the wrong route, run the wrong way. So yeah, he's got a long way to go. And asking him to be a number two in this league, to me, from what I've seen, is a huge ask. But I could be wrong. We'll see. But my money is going on.
And Brad said bad organizations look at the Jets. That's true. But when you get somebody a fourth round pick, you're not bringing him in to be a third wide receiver. When you give up a fourth rounder, you're pretty much saying that we believe that at some point we can get this guy to be at least a number two. This is a guy that's going to command enough attention where we can't just sit there and double team CeeDee Lamb all the time. I don't think if a defense is looking at Jonathan Mingo on one side and CeeDee Lamb on another side, they are fearful of Jonathan Mingo at this point. Brad says, I hear you. You watched him way more than I have. And then Robbie says, DJ Moore didn't look too happy limping off the field Sunday, went straight to the bench while the play was still going on.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's true. We are seeing some regression of Caleb Williams. But see, look, that's what you're going to get with a rookie. You're going to get some really good games where he throws for 300 yards, and you're going to get some other games and it looked like this is his first time ever touching a football. You're definitely gonna get that a lot of times with the rookie. So, but his upside still is a lot better. Anthony says, I fear Jake Ferguson more a tight end over Mingo. Same.
Heck yeah.
True. Because Ferguson is going to chip block. He's going to sit there when the quarterback or they run them damn reverse runs and stuff like that, jet sweeps and all of that. That he's going to be out in the flat and he's going to give you extra yardage down the field because he's going to set up a nice block for you. He's a really utility tight end, and they're able to get a lot out of him. But Dalton Schultz was the same way before he went over to Houston. He played that role. Jason Witten was the same way for years for the Cowboys. They've always done pretty good having a reliable tight end. That's what they do. That's kind of their scheme. That's how they normally play. What we need to be able to do with Mingo, and you know what? I'm not going to say I can't see him doing okay, because they do need a possession receiver that can catch across the middle. That may not be somebody with separation, but as Rand said, he's got to know his routes. He's got to be sure-handed with the ball, especially when you come across the middle, because when you come across the middle, you about to get hit. You get hit, and everybody is going for the peanut punch, and they're going to try to knock the ball out of his hands as soon as he catches that ball. So you got to be sure-handed with it, because they're coming for you as soon as that ball gets thrown your way. And they're going to hit you hard to try to make you fumble that ball. And a lot of times, that's how you get sudden change. That's how the game ends up flipping the other way and everything. That's how you flip the field. So is he that guy? I don't know. Would I have wasted a 4th-round pick in the middle of the season to find that out? No. I think if you would have went after him at the end of the season, he'd still been there. And you probably would have got him at a better cost than giving up your next year's 4th-round draft pick. He said, Anthony says, facts, don't forget about Derek Carr throwing hospital balls.
I know what he's talking about with that one.
Okay.
He pretty much led what is the Saints wide receiver? Their number one. I forget his name. What was that?
Was it
No.
Olave?
He pretty much led Olave to getting blasted by the Panthers.
Yes, he did.
I mean, it rained flags on that play, and as soon as the ball was going across the middle, I knew that was going to happen. So yeah, that was Derek Carr.
Absolutely.
And it was
What's going on, Mr. Lowry? How you doing, sir? Joe Lowry is doing this. Yeah. So enough about the Cowboys. Look, like I said, their season is done. Jerry's making moves as if he somehow believes in his heart of hearts that they can climb out of this hole that they're in. And I don't know if Jerry's watching the same games that we are. But again, for another week, they just could not stop the damn run. And that has been a staple of their entire season is, number one, they can't run the ball. And then number two, they can't stop the run. Now, I will say Atlanta didn't run as much as they could have on them. They only ran for 100 yards. But again, a lot of those were big bunch plays where they were either running the ball, they were getting a lot of yards on their rushes ran, but most importantly, what they were doing is they were controlling the clock, extending the plays, having longer drives because they were able to pick up 31s, 32s, and things like that. So sometimes you don't have to run for 200 yards on the team to have a good running game. It's opportunistic running where your run keeps the play going and you're not 3 and out or 2 series and things like that. Joe says delusional. Anthony says Chris had a concussion 2 weeks ago. Anthony also says Diggs got exposed. Kirk Cousins was killing him. Well, you could tell that Diggs wasn't right. And on that one particular play where Mooney just caught that little streak along the side, you could tell that there was some miscommunication. I don't know if he thought that he had a safety coming behind him and he was going to try to rush the pass, but Kirk Cousins sniffed that thing out the whole pre-snap already knew he was going to Mooney because he saw what Diggs was doing.
Yeah, that game was never in doubt.
Mm-mm.
It just was never in doubt.
No, they always score
Atlanta
like
controlled that
a
thing
in the
from
game
start to finish.
touchdown to try to make the score look better than what actually happened. But if
Yeah,
you watch the game, the score isn't anywhere indicative of the way that Atlanta fleeced them the entire game.
yeah, exactly. And Kirk Cousins was in their ass the whole game.
Absolutely. Well, now this week the Cowboys do get Mike Parsons back. Apparently, CeeDee Lamb is going to try to give it a go, even though he has a AC joint issue with the shoulder. They took him out during parts of the game against the Falcons. We're going to see what they're going to do. If he's not at 100%, and now the Eagles are starting to catch their stride,
This one's gonna be ugly.
and the Eagles are coming to Big D, and man, the way Saquon look, Brand, I'm gonna go ahead. I got to transition because I even had to show my wife this play. I ain't never in my life. I done seen one-handed catches. I done seen guys sit there and come back for catches and make spectacular toe drags out of bounds. I ain't never in my life seen a grown-ass man sit there and do a spin move on somebody, take one step, and backwards hurdle over a grown-ass man.
That was a badass play. I watched it as it happened live, and I was just like, "Yo, what just happened?" It looked like a game that was like straight out of Madden, or like a move straight out of Madden.
It did. I've seen Lamar Jackson make people look stupid when he give them a juke move. I've seen so many plays. But if that ain't one of the top 3 plays at NFL honors this year, I don't know what you got to do to win NFL honors. That was absolutely great. I mean, I watched that play I don't know how many times. Even in slow motion, I'm sitting there going. And when they asked Saquon about it, he said it was just instincts that took over.
Yeah.
Your instincts did that?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I was telling you,
every game Saquon plays for the Eagles just makes the Giants look even dumber.
Yeah, I was telling you last week, B. It's okay to believe again, brother. The Eagles are back. That's I think that's 3 in a row now that they've run off, and it's gonna be 4 when they play Dallas.
Robbie says I thought that was a college game. And Joe says they're not catching them hogs though. Gotta admit they are pretty damn good. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. They're neck and neck, and the only thing that's separating their record is the Commanders haven't had their bye yet. So they're basically tied for first. One is 7-2, the other one is 6-2.
Yeah, the Eagles gonna get a little bit of help from my boys this coming Sunday. You're welcome.
That is true. We're gonna see how the Commanders hold up against the Steelers. That's gonna be a 1 o'clock game. It's gonna be in DC, but man, talking about the Steelers, they made some moves during the trade deadline too.
Yeah.
That were actually pretty good. Things that you had already been talking about. They addressed the fact that hey, we need another wide receiver opposite George Pickens.
Had to have it.
Big body possession receiver in Mike Williams, who became expendable once the New York Jets got acquired Devontae Adams. It definitely made Mike Williams more expendable. Didn't mean that Mike Williams was a bum. Just means that hey, Devontae Adams, Mike Williams, what do you do? So now they have Mike Williams. So and he's kind of in a broke man's DK Metcalf in a way for Russell Wilson because of some of those little moon balls that Russ likes to throw up in the air. It just floats up there and it just falls right into the basket of a receiver. That's perfect for a guy like Mike Williams.
Yeah.
It also keeps George Pickens as your number 1, but it keeps teams from just zeroing in on George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth.
Exactly.
So it's going to be good. And they also picked up a defensive lineman, right?
They picked up an edge rusher from Green Bay. who is very good. So we needed that for depth. The Steelers are
Yep.
getting healthy,
Yep.
which is a great thing because we're entering the very tough part of our schedule. But the good thing about that is we're 6-2. But make no mistakes about it. Very easily uh, go to 6-6, and I'm not looking past any of that. The Steelers got the hardest schedule in the league, but we're at a good point now, getting healthy and getting some added ammunition in Williams.
So Anthony said, and he called us. Oh yeah, Randall, please explain the Mike Williams trade. That was a head scratcher. So we did explain it, in that the Steelers needed more balance in their offense because you got to remember this, Anthony. I'll break it down easily for you. We know that the Steelers are a run-oriented team, but to make their run game even better or their pass game even better, a strong run leads to strong passing because now you can run a lot more play action. When the threat is that you're going to run the ball, and you've got a runner like Najee and Jalen back there too, even though they know Russ isn't going to run the ball, they got to make sure the back actually got the ball to play action. So it does make them freeze. But now, if all they had to do is worry about one side of the field because you only have Pickens on one side, that still gives them a lot of room to work with. Now that you've got a possession receiver on the other side of George Pickens, it's really, really going to make it harder on defenses to figure out what it is the Steelers are trying to do. So it was a great move.
Yeah, I didn't see that as a head scratcher at all. I mean, we gave up a 5th round pick and we still have a 5th left. So, I mean,
That part too.
Mike Williams, a guy that is excellent at the 50-50 ball, matched up with Russell Williams, a guy that's very good at throwing the deep ball. So I'm looking forward to a lot of deep passes. And Williams is a big physical guy, not afraid to go across the middle. Also a very good blocker in the run game. So I think the Steelers scored very good with this one.
Risa, you're going to get kicked out. Risa West said, "What's up? Trump in the house."
Jesus, what's up, Reese? We don't talk politics in here either, baby.
Oh my gosh, Lord have mercy. And then Joe had said a little while back, "Yeah, I'll be at that game." Unfortunately, he meant the Washington Pittsburgh game. So that's pretty cool to be going to the game. You'll be able to see it up front. Risa, haha. Anthony says, I mean, Mike Williams is a solid 3 at best.
Risa is crazy, man. That's all I can say.
Yes, I see her. Me love you long time.
Absolutely love this chick to death, man.
Let's go Jets.
She is a Jets fan, longtime Jets fan, I do believe. A passionate Jets fan, even when they were sucking from her first time in the cooler to getting Aaron Rodgers. She's been very supportive of her Jets, Jets. We see that all the time.
Now Risa says, she says she's a Tomlin fan too, but she's saying Mike Williams sucked for the Jets.
So this is the thing with that. I don't really believe he
for the Jets.
I don't really believe he sucked. I think he got thrown under the bus by Aaron Rodgers for making one bad play.
Me too.
I don't think he's lost very much in his game. He's been hurt for over the past couple of seasons, but he's only 30, so he's got some gas left in the tank. I think you'll see a return back to the San Diego LA Chargers Mike Williams, as opposed to the Jets Mike Williams. But we'll see.
Well, look, who's going to have more of an impact on their team this season? Mike Williams as a 5th round trade, or Jonathan Mingo as a 4th round trade?
It'll be Mike Williams.
Risa said Aaron needed that money for Adam. Draft pick.
I can't with this girl, man. She cracks me the hell up all the time, and she knows it.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, let's talk about your Jets real quick. The Jets ended up playing the Texans on Thursday Night Football last week. Actually, were able to carve out a win. I won't say it was an impressive game. CJ Stroud just looked totally lost out there. It's Mike Williams, but if Dak was playing Mingo, Anthony, you need to stop smoking.
Yeah, stop smoking, bro. I don't know what Mingo has shown you to make you come to that realization, but
You
yeah.
mean to tell me you think Russell Wilson to Mike Williams would not fare any better than Dak Prescott to Jonathan Mingo? And you willing to bet a 4th-round pick on that? Really? Okay, all right. Well, hey, right on, brother. Love you anyway. And Risa said no. But yeah, so
Even nurses saying
even I will give Aaron Rodgers credit. He didn't throw any picks this game. Um, he was 22 of 32, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns. Uh, he was a lot more accurate. I will give him that. Garrett Wilson, him and Garrett Wilson are starting to have some chemistry, but it's no coincidence that Garrett Wilson's productivity coincided with getting Devontae Adams on the team. This is the Mike Williams versus George Pickens factor to me, Rand. So when we talk about it being a head scratcher, it's the same scenario. You can't focus so much now on Garrett Wilson because now you got Devontae Adams on the other side. So now
exactly.
the offense is stronger and you got balance on both sides of the ball.
And you got to have that. I mean, teams that are going to be any kind of serious, they got to have that, man. Can't be one dimensional.
Arisa said, "How long is this show? I'll be back when I drive home. Give me 20 minutes." Well, we will be here till 8:30. But if you're on your phone, you can always pull up Empowered TV, and we are streaming on Facebook. Or hey, Risa, here's another good thing too. If you have YouTube, we're also on YouTube as well. So I'm not telling you not to focus on listening while you drive, but if you do want to do that, we are on those platforms as well. So you can always check
Yes.
it. Or you can always go to download the Roku app and pull up Empower TV on your Roku app and be able to see it. We don't charge subscription on Roku or Amazon Fire TV, so you can pull up the show as it is streaming live.
Yep. But be safe on the drive home.
Be safe on the drive.
We holler at you.
Joe says, "Remember, I called out Stroud last week." Yeah, I remember that you did. And yeah, he did a little stinker in this game. Just wasn't himself. It didn't seem like to me he was only 11 of 30. He ended up with 191 yards, but a lot of that was just long passes to Tank Dell. Tank ended up with 126 of those yards. Mr. Reliable though, Joe Mixon kept it going on the ground. But the problem is at the end of that game when they really could not use Joe Mixon, he wasn't in the game because they needed to get quick scores because they couldn't just run because the clock was against them at that point. Anthony says, "My Washington got something for George Pickens."
Pickens is going to dance in your end zone, homie. It's just a matter of how many times. Mark it down.
All right.
We'll revisit this conversation November the 13th, 7 p.m. But Pickens is going to dance in your end zone.
Joe says either two decent ones on the outside or a tight end that can line up in multiple spots. That's what you need. You got to have it. You got to make these offenses so good that the defenses have to hesitate. If you don't, they'll just stack the box, and it doesn't matter how good your running back is. They're not going to be able to run through that. They can't.
Yeah.
We traded for a weapon to lock down Pickens.
Lattimore versus Pickens. I'm going with Pickens.
And now, is Mike Williams going to be active this week?
That I don't know. I'm hoping so. I know he's been practicing. I know he's being handed a jersey, so we'll see. I don't see why not. I don't see any health restrictions or anything like that. So.
Well, that'll just further my point that I'm going with Pickens because you're not going to be able to double team him, so it's going to be man on man, and like Pickens in that situation too. But if anything, I like Mike Williams in that situation because if you do pay too much attention to Pickens, you're going to potentially let Williams get loose too many times.
Yeah, which is another guy. I mean, I know he's a little older, but 4 years ago you would not want to single up Mike Williams. I mean, he was just that good. So
No, absolutely. So we talked a little bit about the Jets. We talked about the Cowboys. We talked about the Panthers. We talked about the Steelers and the Commanders. Looking at the Commanders, though, they did play the Giants. They almost gave that game back away. Jaden Daniels was a little streaky. Daniel Jones was actually somewhat decent, but still just not that dude. He was efficient at 20 of 26 for 174 yards, 2 touchdowns. Um, you know, is the day of the 300-yard passer just now more of a when it happens, it's something to sit back and just observe? Because I'm seeing a lot more offensive, quarterbacks ending with sub 300-yard games, even if they throw for multiple touchdowns, they're still not eclipsing 300 yards.
you're right, man. That offensive crispness, for lack of a better word, is starting to fade a little bit. And I think it's because of the devaluation of the preseason.
Yeah.
So good point. Good point.
It's funny because I knew one of the things that was going to creep into uh, uh, some historical and some statistical arguments is adding 17 games. Man, you're just giving the quarterback an extra game to pile on an extra 300 yards, stuff like that. But hell, no, it ain't, because they're throwing for less with more games as
Yeah.
far as actual yards and everything. So I don't know if that ended up working out the way that they thought, or running backs are going to end up rushing for 2,000 yards because there's now 17 games. Ain't happening. So
No.
it's just kind of weird to kind of see that. Or receivers were going to end up with 1,400, 1,500 yards receiving. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
And if it does, that is still going to be a thing to celebrate, whether it was a 16-game season or now a 17-game season. That still seems like it's going to be a feat. So a quarterback throwing for 5,000 yards is still going to be something to celebrate, even now that you're adding an extra game, and even with talks of a potential 18th game.
So look at what happened in, just 10 years ago. We'll take it from this point. 10 years ago, the preseason went like this for every team.
Mm-hmm.
The first game, you probably wouldn't see any starters at all.
Right.
That second game, your starters are going to play maybe 2 or 3 series, and they call them out. That third game, your starters are playing the entire first half. And then that fourth game, they back it back out again to where the starters maybe get a drive or two, if that, and that's it. Fast forward 10 years to current preseason. Now we have starting offensives that don't all 11 of them play together into the first game of the regular season.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now. And because of that, I think the offensive efficiency is struggling, especially between quarterback, wide receiver. So yeah, a lot of these teams are not even hitting their offensive systems until about right now, and that's because of the lack of emphasis on the preseason.
Oh, absolutely. And Anthony brought up a fair point. Geno Smith was 40 yards short of 400. Technically, he was 37 because he did throw for 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 picks. So a lot of that gunslinging was because he had been throwing a lot of picks. Matthew Stafford was only 2 yards short of 300 as well, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. Yet the final score was 26-20. If both quarterbacks put up damn near 700 yards of offense, you mean to tell me that they only scored 46 points combined?
Yeah,
That's a lot of hefting the ball in the air and not getting in the end zone. So you did a lot of stuff from 20 to 20, but in the red zone, you ain't do diddly squat. If you throw for that many yards and you can only amass, I guess the Rams had 1, 2, 3 touchdowns out of it. And the Seahawks ended up with, I'm sorry, no, take that back. 2. One was a interception return. So they didn't even score that way. When you look at the Seahawks, they had 3 touchdown passes out of it and only had 26 points. I'm sorry, 20 points. So that's a lot of yards, but a lot of those, Dak Prescott used to do this all the time with the empty calories, where he would end up with 400-yard games because they were playing from behind and they had to give up on the run game or they didn't have an effective run game. So a lot of times you see that too. Manuel Adrian Mattis, welcome to the show.
Manny, what's going on, brother? I think this is a first-time listener, or at least a first-time responder. What's up, brother?
Absolutely.
Good to have you on.
Welcome. He said teams being out of sync can also be attributed to key players skipping camp, and it's shown a lot more so this season. Yeah, absolutely.
Great point. Another great point.
Yep. Now there's hold-ins where players are arguing about their contracts, but instead of getting fined because those fines cannot be rescinded by the organization once they're imposed due to the collective bargaining agreement that the players union signed. Now, if they show up, they can't be fined, but they may just sit on the sidelines, go to the team meetings, but actually not do anything on the field with the team. So you're seeing a lot of that where, look, quarterbacks and receivers are creatures of habit. They have to have that time in the offseason OTAs, pre-camp, camp, all those things to get their chemistry together. And you're not seeing a lot of that. So a lot of off-target throws and things like that are lending itself to that as well. I'm also seeing a lot of teams sit there and they're utilizing their run games more, or they're using their run games as an extension of the pass game, or vice versa, where they're using their backs more in. I've seen a lot more sweeps. I've seen a lot more smoke routes. For anybody that doesn't know, a smoke route is simply where the quarterback just turns to the left or to the right, throws to a receiver, either slightly behind them or slightly in front of them, to see if they can break open for a gain. And sometimes it works. A lot of times it doesn't. A lot of times it's for negative yards. It's just to try to keep the defense honest and stuff like that. I've also seen some defenses that are anticipating smoke routes better, and that's where a lot of pick sixes happen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're seeing a lot of those routes because those routes are not precision routes. They're just basically go out and I'll throw the ball to you. When you're talking about 15-yard L's and 15-yard slants, those require precision, especially with teams that are playing zone defenses and they got these exotic blitzes coming. So, yeah.
That's a good point. And when you're doing those precise routes, you can't wait till the guy gets there.
Exactly. It's
time on the same page to know he's going to be there and when he's going to be there. Because that helps you throw in the tight windows, because a lot of times you'll go back and look at a replay and go, damn, how did he fit that in there? There was 2 guys that could have picked that off. It was a precise route. Before those 2 guys even looked around, that ball had already left his hands.
And routes like that take timing, and timing takes time. It takes practice. It takes OTAs. It takes preseason games. It takes practices. It takes those one-on-ones. And we're just not seeing a lot of that, man. A lot of these teams now are using joint practices to take the place of preseason games. And it just doesn't work. It does not work. In joint practices, the quarterback can't get hit. So it's not going to help your team in the long run.
Manuel says also not having your body ready for full contact can probably be why we're seeing more injuries as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Oh, big time. Trying to, it's like I try to tell somebody when they drive in a car. If you drive scared, you're going to get yourself hurt or get somebody else killed. And it's the same way with the NFL to an extent. When you're trying to protect people from getting hurt, that's when they're going to get hurt. And they may not get hurt right then, but they're going to possibly be more susceptible to injuries later on in the season, because as Mattis said, their body's not ready for those hits and stuff. I understand you got to preserve your quarterback. You give him a red jersey so he's not getting blown up on plays and stuff like that. I get that, but you need your guys in the trenches, especially to be able to get that work in when it comes to timing, using different moves, all that kind of stuff. They really need to be able to do that. Help the running back be able to see holes and things like that. You got to work on those things. You just can't sit there and then use the first 2-3 weeks of the season as your de facto preseason games.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Brian, that's what's happening, man. Just my opinion. I think that a lot of these teams are not hitting that well-oiled machine thing until about week 6 or 7.
You don't know what you got a lot of times until the first quarter of the season is already over.
Yeah,
Thus, we go back to how the Saints looked at the beginning of the season, and everybody's like, "Oh, damn, they're gonna be contending with Atlanta for the South."
nope.
or after the Cowboys go to Cleveland, oh man, this their year. This
Exactly.
their year.
But Manny, I will say, Manny is a New England Patriots fan. I
Sorry,
will say that I like what Drake May is showing with you guys.
bruh.
You guys got a bright future there.
Drake
But I said
May.
that way back when Drake was drafted, and we had some people in the cooler disagree with me. But I think he's going to
Did
be
you
a
see
good
the
one.
pass that he made as he was being tackled that he threw
Yes,
to the corner?
yes.
What?
We're also talking about a man that ran for almost 100 yards. So yeah, I like this kid.
he showed out. I was like, okay. And I mean, he does what a rookie will do. He's gonna have some passes that's gonna make you scratch your head from time to time. They ended up losing the game. No fault of Drake. Drake did everything he could. Titans got the ball. Mason Rudolph did a good job getting the ball in field goal range and getting a last second um, not last second. I'm sorry, getting a field goal in overtime to be able to clinch the game. Um, Manuel says, "Man, I told people not to get excited about the Saints, and then about Drake May. Yo, me too. And then he says, we just need to get the O line fixed. You will, and maybe add a solid number one option. Yeah, but man, look,
That's
nobody,
badly needed.
nobody expected the Patriots are going to remind me a little bit of the Detroit Lions to an extent where they're going to be competitive in games even if they don't win them. And that's going to happen more times than not. Even if they don't have it all together to put together 4 complete quarters, they will be competitive in games. They're going to take their bumps with Drake May. Drake threw the ball 41 times, Rand. 41
Yeah,
times. Hit
yeah.
29 of them. That ain't bad.
That ain't bad at all, especially for a lack of weapons.
And he
I
led
mean,
his team in rushing, 8 carries for 95 yards. So to your
that's what
point,
I'm saying.
yeah, he was doing a lot. Hunter Henry was best receiver, 7 catches for 56 yards. So look, he's got a hell of an upside. I will definitely say that. So a lot of good things to come out of Drake May. Yes, they're 2-7. Titans are 2-6. Both of their seasons are pretty much over with. Um, but I've got a lot of faith in what Drake May will be able to do. Plus, I like your coach too. I think he'll be the guy that'll be able to turn that around. Your rookie shouldn't be throwing 41 times, is what Anthony says.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are you gonna do with that? You struggle to run the ball. What are you gonna do? Just
Yeah,
continue to like
he's
give him the ball?
if he's your leading rusher, yeah, he's got to
Yeah.
throw the
You got to throw the ball, man. I
but
mean, sometimes you're forced into situations where you have no other choice. Yeah, it's not ideal for your rookie quarterback to be throwing 41 times, but hey, if you want to win a game, you might have to do that.
and think about it this way: he completed 29. That's less than 7 to 8 yards per completion, which means a lot of these were more or less dump off passes to a Hunter Henry, the tight end. Again, Hunter Henry had 7 catches for 56 yards. That's 8 yards a catch. So that's right on where I am with that. That's getting the ball out of my hands as quickly as I can, not necessarily pushing the ball down the field because he only had 206 yards, but it's him completing very short catches, passing to the running back, getting those kind of things where he's getting the ball out of his hands. That is something that you do want your young quarterback to be able to do. Does it amass the 41 attempts? Not always, but do I want my quarterback getting the ball out of his hands quickly? Yes. Now, did he get 2 interceptions as a result of that? Yes. Growing pains of a rookie quarterback, but
Yeah,
he's still being very competitive in the games.
and he's gonna learn. He had that last drive in order to go down there to win the game. He had that last chance to do that, and he left one up there in the air too long, and it got picked off by Safety coming around the other side. But those are things that he's gonna learn. He got a little greedy with that. But hey, this guy's like started what 5 games.
Yeah.
So he's got plenty of time.
So, Manuel says so far. I like what Gerard Mayo is showing us. Also, Randall, I'm gonna take my 2 boys to the Carolina game on December the 1st. Needless to say, we're hyped to go watch the local team.
All right, man. Appreciate it, brother. I don't know if you've ever been to Charlotte before, but beautiful Queen City, man. That's my baby.
Absolutely, yeah. You should have a good time. Hopefully, y'all will get in on that Saturday so you can make a nice weekend out of it. Um, but yeah, you'll definitely enjoy. If you need some recommendations of things to do, I'm sure we can help y'all with that too.
Definitely.
Located here in the QC and or surrounding area, even though I'm in Concord. But yeah, so we had some really, really good games this past week. Man, I don't know what happened to the Bears, but the Cardinals just beat the brakes off. I've been to the stadium to watch the soccer match before. Okay, so you know about Bank of America, so yeah, that's cool. Anthony says them Carolina tickets should be cheap, like $5. They might be, a little on the cheap. And he says love Charlotte. That's very cool. I was saying the Cardinals beat up on the Bears 29-9 ran. And again, Caleb Williams, another rookie, threw the ball 41 times, only completed 22 of his for 217 yards. Kyler Murray, very pedestrian game, 13 of 20, 154 yards. No touchdown passes in this game from him, but they did end up with 29 points, which is crazy. So that's
Yeah.
a lot of runs and other ways of scoring and field goals and things like that to get to 29 points. But the Bears just look like they're all over the place. You see the
They
good Bears,
look,
bad
they
Bears.
look like they didn't care with that game. I was extremely surprised by that game. First of all, the defense in Chicago is really good. That's the most points that they've surrendered all season long, 29, and did so to the Cardinals.
I
I
know
don't get it.
them Cardinals.
That game was puzzling for me. I had Chicago pick to win it outright, and then they don't even come close to it.
Yep,
So,
same. I thought that even Marvin Harrison Jr. would do a little bit better in the offense. He just tends to have splashes here and there, but nothing reliable and consistent. Only 2 catches for 34 yards. Trey McBride actually led the guys with 3 catches for 35 yards. But just don't see a lot of consistency with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think some of that still comes down to Marvin Harrison's game is not the same game that Kyler Murray plays.
right.
You know, if he was playing, if he was playing with the Steelers, absolutely, I can see that. But those smaller quarterbacks is not what a Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to thrive off of. Anthony says DJ Moore said he twisted his ankle. That's why he went to the sideline.
Yeah, if you see that replay, it did look like he hurt himself as those last couple of steps before he went off the field. He was kind of limping. So I don't know what the prognosis is for this next coming game. But that's a guy that Chicago could ill afford for real.
Exactly, because your quarterback has very few options on the offensive end to throw to, and DJ Moore is supposed to be that number one. So any amount of missed time could really do it for them. And I thought they would come out with a little bit more gumption too, man, because they're still or were could be still fighting for a wild card. The way things would shape up, now they're 4-4. It's not like totally over, but they would have to go on a pretty substantial run to continue that talk. So that's going to be real interesting to see how that shakes up. We talked about the Eagles a little bit with Saquon Barkley's play. The Eagles are still an enigma to me because as much as they're still winning, and I guess you got to win and move on. They're 6-2 now. It's the way they're winning. They're not winning very convincingly. They're letting teams kind of hang in there. They literally let Jacksonville come back in this game, and they did. I mean, they shut them out in the first quarter. If I'm thinking about that right, yeah, they shut them out in the first half, and then let them score all 23 points in the second half, where they were 16-0 at halftime, and then they got outscored 23-12 in the second half. They just put up enough.
That was surprising. I didn't have my Steelers to watch this past Sunday because they were on a bye. So after that 1 o'clock game, I was pretty much just watching the NFL Red Zone as it went around the league and showed different scores and highlights and stuff like that. And a game that I thought the Eagles had in hand by a big number. All of a sudden, the Jacksonville Jaguars are back in that game, and I'm sitting there wondering, like, how? What happened? I thought this was like well under control.
It should have been. When you look at the stat line of this game, first downs 21-14. When you look at third down efficiency, 19 out of 17 to 3 out of 10. When you look at a time of possession, 38 minutes to 21 minutes, they were dominating the game.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Even Sunshine threw 2 picks.
Yeah, they were certainly dominating when I turned away from it.
How the hell do you win by 5? So it was just crazy. So I mean, you killed them in rushing yards, 237 to 60. Total offense, 447 to 215.
Yeah.
How do you almost give away this game? Those are mental things. I'm gonna tell you how you give that away. Coaching. Because everything else I read on the stat line is player performance. How do you end up only winning by 5 points when you were dominating that team? Coaching.
Yeah, I've heard some whispers, man.
Me too. I've heard Nick Sirianni's name being put on a hot seat more and more and more and more. And it started from last year when they went on that unexplainable losing streak. And he has done nothing, even though they're winning right now, to quiet down those whispers of, hey, do we need another coach up in here?
Right.
So this is amazing. I'm an Eagles fan, and I'm trying to, I want to have realistic expectations. But right now, if the Commanders came to town, I might have to go for the Commanders on that one.
Yeah. That is going to be a good matchup when it happens.
It is. I still kind of lean Eagles a little bit because I have more faith in their running game than I do in Washington's running game, because I think Jaden Daniels almost has to create a running game for Washington more organically than the Eagles do with Saquon Barkley.
I'm still waiting for Jaden to cool off, and I think that's going to happen. I don't see him having this hot streak all throughout the season, so we'll see.
He did a little bit against the Giants in the first quarter. He was like 1 for 4 for 1 yard or some crazy stat like that. It was something stupid. And I'm like, only threw for a yard? And the yard was to Terry McLaurin for the touchdown. He had a yard. And then all of a sudden he started calming down, getting the ball out, making completions, things like that. So his overall stats look better. But his first couple of possessions were horrible. But he picked it up to his credit, so that's good. Anthony has a question. You think rookie Brian Thomas Jr. from Jacksonville is better than Marvin Harrison Jr.?
I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is more talented, but don't get it twisted. Brian Thomas Jr. is no joke. I mean, I love this kid at LSU. He's big, physical, fast. Maybe not as big and physical and fast as Marvin is, but I mean he's right there, like 1A, 1B type of deal. So I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is more talented than him, but uh, Brian Thomas Jr. ain't no slouch at all.
Yeah,
I don't think that
I think it's.
Sunshine is utilizing that weapon
I
as
agree.
much as he
I agree.
needs to be.
But I will say this: I bet you if Marvin Harrison Jr. was playing with Sunshine, he would look a little bit more consistent and a lot better. But again, I think the reason that you haven't seen Marvin Harrison really burst out, he had one or two games where it was like, "Oh God, this is about to be crazy," and then a lot of silence. I think a lot of it is just the style of play that Kyler Murray has. Kyler Marvin is a downfield receiver. Kyler, a lot of times gets flushed out of the pocket and throws on the run. He did have some success throwing to Marvin on the run when they're hooking up on the same side of the field. But if he's having to throw across his body to come back to Marvin, that's not going to happen. If
Yeah,
he's rolling out and Marvin's on that side, can he sit there and target him down the field? Absolutely. Is
yeah,
that more of Harrison's game? No. He needs a tall receiver. I mean, tall quarterback. Stand back there and just throw darts to him. Throw up them 50-50 balls to him. High point the ball, make him go get it. Stuff like that. That's his game.
right. The moment that your quarterback leaves the pocket and rolls out, those patterns and those routes by the wide receivers, those are now over. Now
Right.
you
And now you got to come back. You got to stop what you were doing
hmm
back and try to give your quarterback a place to be able to throw the ball while he's on the run, while he's being chased, so that he doesn't have to throw the ball, make a decision to throw the ball away or run out of bounds.
exactly. And we all know that Kyler leaves the pocket quite often. Yeah.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And a lot of times it's because he can't see. But I will say that's when people keep wanting to bring him up when we talk about Bryce Young. Tell me how many times you see Bryce pull a Kyler Murray where he uses his legs and it keeps defenses honest. If they know you have a propensity to just bail and run and get positive yards, they have to put a spy on you because if they don't, you can get loose for 8 to 10 yards downfield. And that's how you keep the chains moving. That's how you keep the defense on the field and stuff like that. So when you have a quarterback that is a threat to take off because there's a lot of green in front of them, the linebackers have turned their backs to him and he can just take off. That's what's going to happen. Nobody
Mhm.
fears that with Bryce Young.
No,
Nobody.
he's not fast enough, man.
Well,
Yeah, when I see
maybe grandma fears it, but that's about it.
the Sunday that I see Bryce Young break off a 35-yard touchdown run, uh, that'll probably be the Sunday that I just I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't expect to ever see that though. I
either.
think maybe I'll see Russell Wilson do that before I see Bryce.
You know what? I would put my money on Russ to do it first.
Yeah, yeah. Me too.
Russ has still got those plays in him where he can still show you that. It's just that he's at that point of his age that he ain't gonna be able to do that on a consistent basis.
Right.
Manny says, by the way, I need someone to test Saquon yesterday. Why you think he owns something?
Drug test him.
Is that what we're talking about? Because he sat there and reverse hurdled a grown ass man.
Yo, that's not a bad idea. What you, what you
Listen,
think about?
I'm old enough to remember when Odell Beckham made that one-handed catch, and it was so spectacular, and it basically is what Odell is known for. That kids in high school, college, pee-wee, didn't matter. We're all practicing one-handed catches. You see guys now in warm-ups doing one-handed catches. You see guys in college doing one-handed grabs and stuff like that. Garrett Wilson had a spectacular one from Aaron. As soon as Garrett caught that the other night, I looked at that and I said, oh God, that's a touchdown. And they were hesitating to call it. And I'm like, no, that's a touchdown. And it ended
Yeah.
up being a touchdown. But as spectacular as those are, how many of these kids now do you think are going to try to practice reverse hurdling a grown ass man.
I bet you, yeah, you're right. I bet you're gonna be out there trying it, man.
Because I've seen more
Bet you're gonna be out there
sit
trying it.
there and think about goal line stances. When you used to just see guys just try to rush up the gut on the goal line to get the touchdown. Now what do you see them do? Try to leap over everybody,
Right.
break the plane and stuff like that. So you start to see those kind of things. You know, the NFL truly is a copycat league. Then you started seeing other guys that would hurdle over guys or the spin moves, the jukes, the stuff like that. So now I'm just waiting for somebody to sit there and bust his whole groin open because he tried to hurdle over a grown ass man in reverse and that head came up on his jewels.
Man, you just know that high schools across the country are gonna start seeing that move in their games. You just know it. You know it.
There's going to be so many sports medicine folks having groin injuries because, hey, how'd you hurt your groin? I tried to hurdle over a guy and he threw his head up with his helmet at the last minute and caught my boys.
And so many high school coaches across the country gonna be like, cut that shit out.
Yeah, don't you do that again.
Yep.
Just run straight. Stop turning. What you turn your back for? I'm trying to be like Saquon, coach. Ain't no other Saquon. Oh my God, I've never seen that for real. Says Manny. He says Saquon is just unreal. Yeah, and when he said he did it as an instinct, I'm like, whose instinct makes you do a spin move, turn your back to a man, throw your ass in his face, and hurdle him? That's, who does that?
That's wild.
Anyway, I think that's going to be player of the year because we've seen too many one-handed catches. We ain't gonna see nobody else do that this year.
Nah.
Ain't nobody else gonna do that. There may be some tries, but I think people gonna get hurt if they try it.
Right.
You will get hurt. Whether it's your nads or whether you fall funny or whatever. I think somebody gonna get hurt trying to do that. So I'm just saying as a public service announcement, y'all probably don't want to do that. All right, Ray, we got some games coming up this week.
Yes, sir.
Other than your Steelers and Commanders, what are you looking for this week?
I'm looking for the embarrassment in the fall of the Dallas Cowboys when they get that ass spanked by Philadelphia in Dallas.
Oh, boy,
I can't wait on that. I can't wait for that.
I can't either. I really hope the Eagles don't take their foot off the gas. Like, I want them to go for a 60-piece.
Yeah.
Because I think they got it in him. I think Saquon got 3 touchdowns in him. I think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith got 2. And I think Jalen got another one in him via tush push. So I really want to see that. Cooper Rush, I think that Eagles defense is going to kick his ass off. One of them probably being a pick 6. I mean, said about Saquon, that duty hurdle is probably not a starter anymore. That's probably true. That's like getting posterized back in the day by Jordan. It's like you don't want to be on the highlight of ESPN. And I saw that highlight on ESPN a lot because people were still like, even Herman Edwards was looking like, I ain't never seen nothing like that. He says, hey, we were around when Barry was out there. We ain't never seen nothing like that. I was like, damn. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Well, I got the rundown. We got the Bengals traveling to Baltimore to face the Ravens. Man, the way the Ravens been playing of late, it's hard to bet against them right now. They are catching stride at the right time. We'll see if that translates into the playoffs. They've always typically been a pretty good regular season team, but they have stepped it up a notch. And Lamar Jackson had a perfect quarterback rating in his last game. So, and I just don't see the Bengals, to me, are still a mess. Joe Burrow has it sometimes he doesn't. The inconsistency of the Bengals, I just don't see it right now. So I'm going to give that nod to the Ravens.
Same, but go Bengals.
Right. You got the Giants playing the Panthers. Panthers are the home team, even though they're both in Germany. 9:30 a.m. game. I actually got the Panthers in this one. As long as Brian Burns does not get home to Bryce Young.
As long as Bryce Young plays like he has a set, I will go Panthers for this game.
Mm-hmm. You got the Patriots going against the Bears. The way the Bears are playing, I actually give the Patriots a chance to really win this game because of all the stuff that Drake May is doing. I got trust in Drake May to be able to keep plays going, get the ball to Hunter Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, and those guys. And I like the defense of the Patriots.
Yeah, the Patriots are playing far more physical than what the Bears have shown here lately. So that was going to be tight. It's all going to come down to the to Caleb Williams, but I'm curious to see what this what this injury is to DJ Moore is all about.
Absolutely, Manuel says, all right, fellas, nice catching up with y'all. I'm going to sign off. Good night, buddy. We appreciate you for joining us. 49ers are coming to Tampa to face the Buccaneers. Man, CMC is supposed to be coming back. You got Debo. I know Ayuk is still out, I believe, but you got Jordan Mason also as a good alternative to CMC. So you don't have to rush Matt back fully because you still have a serviceable back in Jordan Mason and also in Nguendo, I think that's how you say his name, as another option as well. So you got a nice three-headed monster back there too. Plus, you can still use Jordan Mason in some sets, throw McCaffrey out in some slots and things like that, and really, really give Tampa a hard time. There's still that Godwin, I believe, so I'm gonna give the ups to San Francisco in this game.
Me too. They got Jennings coming back as a wide receiver option as well. So I just think there's too many weapons for Tampa to deal with. And even though Tampa played a very good game against the Chiefs, in which they should have gone for 2.
Yep.
I do think they're going to match that intensity with the 49ers. So I got the Niners.
You got Broncos at the Chiefs. I just think that the Chiefs just keep finding a way to win. But you know what? I give the Broncos an outside chance to stay competitive in this game because the Chiefs keep allowing teams to hang around. You do that too many times, you're going to eventually get bit. This could be that game. I know that sounds crazy for me to say the Knicks team has a chance against the Chiefs, or as Jamal Charles likes to say, Kansas City Chief. But anyway.
It does not sound crazy at all. Patrick Mahomes also dealing with a rolled ankle. Don't forget that part of it. Patrick Mahomes also building chemistry with his new toy wide receiver, but it ain't there yet, and that was on full display Monday night. So yeah, I would not be surprised at all if that is a tight game going into the fourth quarter.
Even though he did seem to get Kelsey a lot more involved in the offense this game than he has in the previous. So
about time.
About time. Thank you for my fantasy league too. Good to see. Bills go to Indianapolis to face the Colts. I think the Bills are just striking on all cylinders right now, and it's going to be hard for the Colts to keep up with them. They're going to end up having to play from behind, which is going to nullify having Jonathan Taylor or whoever is going to be back there running back for them. It's going to be real hard for them to keep up in that game.
Same. Flacco ain't going to save them.
Nope. You got the Vikings in Jacksonville to face the Jaguars. I know Sam Darnold's not been as reliable as of late, but they're still winning most of their games and everything. And I think just the weapons that he has on offense is going to be enough to keep them against the Jaguars.
I got the same. Got the Vikings on this one. Jaguars are just a miss. I think they had a good effort against Philly, but that's where it stops. That ain't going to roll over into another game.
You got the Falcons in New Orleans against the Saints. Let's just say, don't call too many timeouts. Just let the game run. Let it run out. You got the Titans in LA to face the Chargers. I'm going to give this to the Chargers only because I just think the Titans are a mess. But I don't really see a lot from the Chargers either, but they're at home. Thanks, y'all. Later. See you, Brad.
Later, Brad.
And tell Grandma we still don't like Bryce Young. You got the Jets at the Cardinals. You know, at the beginning of the season, if I saw this, I would have immediately just said Jets. But who the hell knows with these Jets? I'm going to give it to the Cardinals just because they're at home.
Me too. I mean, they're just playing better ball right now, and that sounds strange to come out my mouth. But yeah.
Again, I never would have thought that at the beginning of the season. Eagles, Cowboys, we already both said Eagles going to beat the brakes off of them. You got the Lions at the Texans. This is going to be an interesting game. Can the Texans, they're at home, rebound, but they've got the Lions coming in, and the Lions are not who anybody wants to play right now. I'm gonna have to get the Lions.
Yeah, you'd be a fool to bet against Detroit right now. You're just too good in all areas.
That's going to be our Sunday night football game, by the way. And our Monday night football game, which is only one game this week, thank God, is going to be. And as a matter of fact, I believe the Lions game and the Texans game, fun fact, got flexed. This was going to be an earlier game. The Colts and the damn Bills were going to be the Sunday night game, and they got flexed out.
Mm.
Yeah. And now the Rams and the Dolphins square up on Monday Night Football. Tua is getting better and better every game since he's come back. It wasn't enough to win the last game, but you can see it. You can even see Waddle and Tyreek Hill benefiting from that. They're going to LA to play the Rams, but I'm still going to – that's going to be a tough stuff. I'm going to go with the Rams because they're at home. It could go either way for me.
I'm going to go with the Rams.
It depends on how bad Stafford is.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Rams. I think that two-headed wide receiver monster of Puka and Cooper is just going to be too much for the Dolphins defense to deal with.
And then Kyron Williams on the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. We ran a little bit over, but we appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you're catching us live, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you're catching us on the replay, still hit that like, hit that subscribe. We appreciate that. Also share and let everybody else know what it is that you watch. But we're going to call it another week. We will definitely see y'all again next week. Rand, take it easy, brother. Oh, and by the way, y'all, in case y'all didn't know, Rand and his band, Kendrick Cole, are playing at Brickyard, 10:30 on the night, downtown Charlotte. Catch it. Good show to see. We'll see y'all later.
Who is that? Joe was talking about coming out? You and Joe, come on out here, man.
All right. I'm going to send Joe a message to remind him of that, but that is the plan. But we will see y'all at the Brickyard on Saturday night. Remember, late start, 10:30, but definitely worth your while. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all later. Y'all have a good one. Peace.